Hello to all near-death experience enthusiasts. Welcome to another experience. Before listening to this experience, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support it with likes and comments. It was Friday. It was the year 1369. We had classes on religion, life, and sports at school, and we didn't have any other classes. I participated in the religion and life class, but not in sports, and then I returned home. I wanted to clean the roof of our two-story house. It was autumn and winter was approaching, so I wanted to create a sunny spot for myself to study there. My father always used to build something. There were a lot of bricks, construction materials, and iron beams. I piled everything in a corner and was about to start sweeping. It was noon, and I was tired. I went downstairs and had lunch. I went back up and worked again. Then I came down and smelled the dinner my mother was cooking. I entered the kitchen to see what my mother had cooked. I have two brothers. One of them is 4 years older and much taller than me. I am the second child and shorter than him. He always teased all of us. I remember that during Nowruz, they used to give new banknotes as gifts. My older brother took the banknotes from my younger brother and told him he was going to spend his money. The younger brother said to give his money back. I saw my younger brother pleading, so I put a bite of food in my mouth, went to my older brother, and told him to stop bothering him. I took the banknotes from him and gave them to my younger brother. As I was leaving, he grabbed my leg and pulled. I fell, and he jumped on my back. He grabbed my throat and applied pressure. He was focused on my younger brother and couldn't hear my voice as I was being choked. One hand was on my throat, and with the other hand, he was pulling my younger brother. At that moment, I felt my condition was deteriorating. My ears were ringing. I managed to shout a couple of times, but then I couldn't. I kicked his legs, but he didn't realize it. I have another brother and sister who were younger than my younger brother. They saw my legs and came over, grabbed my feet, and went up and down on my back. I couldn't breathe and was struggling. My chest felt like it was exploding, and I heard a ringing in my ear. I looked at the clock. It was 7:55. I was waiting for someone to come and help me. My condition was getting worse. For a moment, I felt like I was finally getting my breath back. My whole life flashed before my eyes. Childhood memories, school, all the memories. I remember going to the store with my mother. My mother put me on a table in the store. A child had come with his mother before me and was also on the table. He was pushing me and saying, "This is my place." I waited a bit, but the child wouldn't leave me. Our mothers were not paying attention. I twisted his finger, and he started crying. His mother looked at us, but didn't realize what I had done. I saw all these events in very high quality. I think it lasted about 10 seconds. When I opened my eyes, I saw that they were still in the same situation. But I noticed that my viewing angle had changed. I looked carefully and saw myself. I was surprised. I was seeing the scene as if I were lying horizontally from the ceiling of the room. I shouted my brothers' names, but none of them heard me. I thought I was having a nightmare. I told myself I had to wake up from this dream. But no matter what I did, I couldn't wake up from the dream. I yelled again, but it didn't help. After this incident, I argued with my brother about why he didn't hear my voice. He said because your eyes were open, he thought you were fine. The only one who realized that my eyes were open but unnaturally so was my mother, who said your eyes were open but you weren't blinking. No matter how much I yelled at my brother, he didn't understand. But when I separated from my body, I could breathe and relax. I didn't try to separate from my brother anymore. I could only call his name. I had no control over my body. I momentarily thought to myself, I am now stuck to the ceiling. If there were no ceiling, I would go higher up. Thank God there is this ceiling. I reassured myself not to be afraid. Just saying this, I saw the soil and tar on the ceiling, and I passed through the ceiling and went up above the roof. It was at that moment that I got very scared. I said it's okay. I'll grab onto things on the roof to prevent myself from going higher. No matter what I tried to grab, my hand slipped off. The height kept increasing. It was like when you swim in a pool. I wanted to swim down, but I couldn't. I was going up and yelling, but no one heard me. Our house was next to a pole with a blinking light. I thought of getting myself to that pole in any way possible. Maybe I could grab onto it. It still didn't work. It felt like something was lifting me up, and I couldn't go anywhere else. I could only sway in place. I went so high that when I looked down, I felt dizzy with fear. I said if whatever was lifting me lets me go, I'll fall down and die. When I opened my eyes, I saw I had gone higher up. I saw a blinking star in the sky that was larger than all the others. I felt something was guiding me towards that. When I screamed, I felt there were two people with me, but they didn't come close. I couldn't see them. It was as if each of them was 10 meters away from me. It felt like they were telling me not to be afraid. "We are with you." I asked them, "Who are you? Help me. Come closer so I can see you." None of them came. I panicked again. I had distanced myself from the ground to a point where I saw a spherical shape. I was still hoping not to be scared. I was going over the events of that day in my mind. My hands and legs were different. They were extremely light. I saw that the earth was getting smaller. I panicked again. When I opened my eyes, I saw I was passing through a very large stone. I don't know if it was a star or a planet, but the stone was motionless, and only I was passing by it. I even wanted to grab it with my hand so I wouldn't move anymore, but it didn't work. The closer I got to the stone, which I think was a planet, the larger it became. And the earth had shrunk to the size of a ball. The two people were gradually leaving. I almost reached the piece of stone, which I think was a planet. I placed my foot on it. I felt like a week had passed. During this time, I slept and woke up, but all that time, it was night. I placed my foot on that planet. I went. There were buildings there. The buildings were tall. In front of those buildings, which were like castles, there was a wall, and the heads of the people walking there could be seen. Their chatter and voices could be heard. I wanted to go and talk to them. There was a spiral staircase there that had been extended downwards. The buildings were on top of a high hill. I looked around. Something caught my attention. As I walked, it felt like I was jumping 10 meters. It was very exhilarating. I was fascinated by that place. I saw the door of the building open, and two people were coming down the stairs. The two who were coming down were talking to each other. I saw that they were different from me. Their clothing was different from mine. They pretended they were coming down the stairs. They were hovering near the stairs. I felt it was so I wouldn't be scared. From a distance, it was clear they were about a meter taller than me. That's when I got scared. When they stood beside me, I didn't even dare to look at their faces. I just looked at their chests. I decided not to speak so they could talk. They kept on talking until my patience ran out. I wanted to ask them who they were, where I was, if I was dreaming or awake, but no matter how I tried to open my mouth and speak, I couldn't. I got worried because I couldn't speak. I told myself that just as I had talked to myself in my heart until now, I should speak to them in the same way. I said, if anyone can hear me, raise your hand. I couldn't believe such a thing would happen, but one of them raised their hand. I wanted to cry out of happiness. I felt he was my friend. I asked my questions. Who are you? What am I doing here? He told me to calm down. You are dead. Let's go. Of course, some things have been erased from my mind because no matter how much I think, I can't remember. I don't know what else they told me. It was as if they had told me, let's take you to a much better place. I was happy and followed them. They were also talking to each other. They went to the other side, but I didn't go. They told me to come. I said I am going there to have a good time. What about my brother who killed me? They are taking him to court. I said I'm not coming. He is guilty. I even said my mother is crying. They said let's go inside. There are people waiting for you. We have taken a very good place for you. They didn't say what they wanted to give me, but they said you are lucky and we want to take you to a good place. I knew there is misery in the world, but in that place, there is happiness and peace. I wanted to attack them and fight back. If I won, I would return to the world. They understood my thoughts. They said to me, "Oh, ignorant, weak human, do you want to act against us?" It took away my ability to walk, and unconsciously, I followed them. I had no recollection of them understanding whatever I thought. They were leading me, and I was crying and pleading. They asked, "Why are you crying?" "We want to take you to a good place." No matter how much I beseeched, it was futile. They told me I had been summoned. "My time is up, and you have to come with us. Orders have been given to us. You will be happy." I was also crying and pleading. I said, "Wait, aren't you supposed to say that God has sent you?" They said yes. If God sent you, I don't think he would be pleased with a young man who is just starting to grow up and bear fruit to be killed by his brother. It's unjust. At least I would be killed for my country. I would do a lot of work, feed several poor people. I haven't done anything. I always wanted to have a wife and children. God is not pleased with my death. Surely, God's heart is in pain for me. It's as if this message reached me. He told me to go. If you go, you will endure great hardships. Do you understand this? We know everything. I said it's okay. I want to return so my brother won't become a murderer. My mother and father won't be upset. I want to go back. I said you will endure great hardships. Now that you want to go, go. I went 3 to 4 steps down and then stopped. I was being greedy. I said if I go and live a long life, will you give me this place again? I said yes. I asked, how is that possible? I said I'm young now, haven't done anything. At that time, I had done many good deeds. Do you still want to give me this again? They showed me a very simple equation. I remember it exactly. They erased this from my mind too. It was like negatives and positives canceling each other out. They said sometimes a child and an old man are equal. It's not about age. It seemed like someone was pushing me from behind. I returned on the path I had come in a week at a very, very high speed. The turn didn't take more than a few minutes. Of course, I should mention that time there is different from time here. I saw the earth, my country, province, and city. I saw the back of the roof, passed through it, and it was night. I mentioned it was not a week, and now it's night. When I arrived, I saw they had transferred me from that place and were near the window. Under the window, but my brother still had his hand on my throat. It became horizontal and entered my body. When my soul entered my body, it felt like boiling water was poured on me. My body burned. I stood up and sat down. I saw my mother standing next to me with a glass of water. She gave me water. I said, "Mom, why are you screaming?" She said, "Drink the water." I could barely lift the glass. I said, "Mom, where were you? I wasn't here for a week. Didn't you notice?" She said, "No, you didn't go anywhere. Brother had grabbed your throat, and you were choking." I looked at the clock. It was 7:55. Now it was 8:20. I said, "You didn't notice, did you?" She said no. "Today you were on the roof, and now you are here." It's hard for me to stand up. I headed towards my school program. I saw that it's Friday. I reviewed my day with myself. Mother was right. My younger brother, who was 4 years old, had reported this incident to my mother.